What's up, happy Monday, football fans and draft dorks. I'm the Football Grump. I'm back with another YouTube video on the 2024 draft, this time focusing on the interior offensive linemen. We already hit the quarterbacks, we already hit the offensive tackles. It's time to move to the inside, and the offensive line is kind of a mix of guys who will transition on the outside or not. So there's kind of some crossover here. I was trying to get these videos to be back to back. So, I'm not going to talk too much because this is already a longer video than the last one. But one last time, if you follow me on Twitter, you will find more of my stuff. And if you like this stuff, please hit subscribe. If you're new, tell a friend about the video and give me a thumbs up. Let's get right into the interior offensive linemen. Let's get started with day one, guys. My favorite guy in this class, Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, 6'3", 334-pound center. Who has the flexibility to play inside at guard. How do I know that? He was asked that at the Senior Bowl and said that. So I guess I don't know that, but he claims he can do it. So let's get into some of these clips here. This is one of my favorite guys here. First play here, pass blocking. Strong anchor and leverage neutralizes this defender. Just totally takes him out of the play. Next play, gets his hands in quick, drives his feet, and controls this defender. Next, anchors well, leverages the hands right off of him. Get off me. Next play. This is just solid stunt handling. Good stuff. Here, controls defender well. Breaks that hand right off of his chest. Good stuff. Strong anchor. Defender can't do anything. Next, he's unable to lift with this leverage, but he still stonewalls the guy. Next, just work all the way across to help somebody out. Okay. Not the best pad level to start on this one. Punch was slow, but gets hands in his chest, resets from shoulders, back inside. Run blocking. Gets hands inside, moves this guy to the ground. Absorbs, and then drives to the ground. Good initial hit on this one. Gets out on the move, recognizes a problem, and then adjusts accordingly. That's not his guy, but he knows the play is going to die if he doesn't hit him. Great work to the second level on this play. Great work. Good leverage, one hand in chest, one on the inside shoulder, redirects the open hole and escorts the bench like a bouncer removing a drunk. Fast out of his stance here. Good leverage, two-hand shove out of the hole. Great pad level. Two hands in the chest and good leverage to lift. Fast hands, fights the defender's hands, resets and turns defender with some help. Same play, different angle. Again, fast hands, one in the chest, one inside shoulder. Good pad level and drive. Get some help. Fast hands, catches that strike. Redirects defender. Great pad level, leverage. Hand and chest to lift and redirect. I really like Jackson Powers Johnson. I think he's a day one starter at center. I think that he's a day one starter at guard if that's where you want to put him also. Smart player with a lot of experience. He's got the right strength. He looks accomplished. I think he's a day one starter. I think he's excellent. Any team would be lucky and happy to have him. I think he goes day one. If you were wondering why I didn't have Duke tackle Graham Barton on my tackle video, after watching him, so am I. 6'5", 314-pound tackle from Duke. Has a lot of position versatility. I saw around the internet that he was listed as a guard. A lot of people seem to think that his future was a guard. I didn't give it a second thought. I don't know that I think that. I think Graham Barton is a really, really interesting prospect, and that's why I have him so high. He has, in my opinion, 5 position versatility. He played tackle at Duke for a very long time, but before that was a center at Duke, and in high school was a guard. I think that with the intelligence that he has, the size that he has, I think he can play any position on the line. And a quick note about that, someone who's this versatile might have their versatility used against them to their detriment by a poorly run organization, right? So just because Graham Barton can play all 5 positions, in my opinion, or, I think that he can, doesn't mean that all 5 positions are his best position. So, it might be a temporary solution to play him at a position that's not his best for the overall betterment of the 5 offensive linemen. But if that's where he ends up spending his whole career because of mismanagement or something like that, he may not live up to expectations or potential. So, versatility, I think, can be a double-edged sword. It comes down to coaching and how that versatility is used. That being said, it's certainly when it's used correctly, when you can patch holes with somebody like that, while trying to get them in the best position to succeed overall, I think you can get yourself, you can afford your organization a lot of flexibility. And that goes a long way with a 17-game season and injuries and playoffs and, geez, who knows. All right, let's get into some of these clips here. So as far as some of the lateral foot speed to play on the outside, I think is there. I think he can play tackle. I don't know about left tackle, but I think he can play tackle. So first one here, quick feet, good mirror, controls. Next one, holds the inside, attacks with good pad level and leverage. Next one, good patient feet, good hands, finishes. Nice, good feet, good leverage, neutralizes. Good pass set, again, neutralizes. Solid feet, mirrors well. Doesn't get fooled by any of that stuff, controls all that. Helps the inside, slow down the outside guy. He really hit two people. Fast feet, neutralizes that spin move. Good anchor against the speed. It's just enough for that throw. Good mirror, doesn't give up that inside pathway. And this is just good stunt handling. Moving into the run game here. Really fast into defenders' chest, twists. Good stuff. This is a pull. Good job to wall him off. Good body positioning. Now here he doesn't really drive, but he fights with good leverage, good leg usage. I wouldn't call that a drive. Gets that hands inside quickly. Good leverage. Quick feet inside. Gets his hands in there quickly also. Finishes. And then here just navigating through traffic to find your guy. It takes a certain skill. I like Graham Barton. I think that versatility is incredibly valuable. The fact that he can play tackle, I think, pushes him up. Interior offensive linemen just don't draft as high as tackles. So his tackle versatility, I think, brings him up. The versatility brings him up even higher. I like Graham Barton on day one. Next, I'm going to call him a fan favorite, a Senior Bowl favorite. Christian Haynes from Connecticut. Unlikely school to deliver a favorite, but I think the Senior Bowl does a good job of finding linemen that are mean from small schools the last couple of years. 6'2", 313-pound, tenacious, mean guard with a finisher's mentality. I really like Christian Haynes. He might be a little bit more of a highlight player than the way scouts view him. He might have some technical things he needs to clean up. But let's get into some of the clips so you can see what I'm talking about here. So, I think he's accomplished in both the pass game and the run game. Run game, he obviously is a little bit more highlighty, but pass game, he's certainly pretty solid. So let's start right here. Let's start off with the big one. Lateral movement, you can see right away he's clearly on the inside, right? But pretty good. Again, another pass off and receive the stunt. Here's the detriment thing. Goes for a big hit. He does that from time to time. He whiffs and falls there. Here, looking for work. He's a good helper. Get some good leverage there. Good movement. Again, another good helper moment here. One hit. Look for more work. Another hit. All right, let's stay here. Anchor. Control with help. No problem. This is pretty good leverage on the move. Calm and patient. Good mirror. The run game. See that mean streak. Here it is. This play is not over till he says it's over. Little big hit, a little bit high, but that's why there's no movement there. So he can work on that. This is pretty good. Lock on and move, twist with leverage. Good stuff. Another lock on and hit. Just locked in. This is some movement skills. Look for work. Goodbye. On the move. A little bit of tight hips here, right? You can see that the turning is not so good. Slow lateral step here, but strength and leverage, quick feet recovery. You can see where the detriment comes from. A little bit of tight hips. I don't think he's necessarily a phone booth guy. He's got movement skills. I think he just doesn't have hip flexibility that will help him a lot in changing directions. Christian Haynes, though, as a run blocker, as a mover, he's a smart player who is helpful on the offensive line. I think he's going to be... I initially thought that he would play into day one, but I think that might be a little bit of the fan in me liking some of the mean streak stuff. He had a highlight play in the Senior Bowl where he first of all, he didn't really lose many reps in the Senior Bowl whatsoever. He won pretty much every one-on-one he was lined up against. He caused some frustration, wherein his helmet got ripped off and was nearly thrown at his head by a defender who couldn't seem to get through on him. And that sort of thing leaves a lasting impression on you. But I think that maybe NFL scouts see more of the cleanup duty than I did when I was looking through rose-colored glasses down there in Mobile. Next is Zack Fraser from West Virginia, 6'3", 310-pound center. You might think that this is pretty low for him. It might be pretty low for him, but I find him to be genuinely pretty hard to grade. The reason is because I like Zack Fraser quite a bit. I think that there's very few things to complain about with him. But I think interior offensive linemen, even the best ones, are oftentimes day two picks. So I don't think that this is low just by saying he's a day two guy. I know that mock drafts always list the best one or two players at like every position in the first round for like weeks until we all come to grips with reality and realize that that's not how it works. So one of the reasons why I find him hard to grade is because he has really good technique all around. I think he's smart. I think he's athletic. I just wonder about his ceiling. So I don't know how much better he's going to get because I think that his struggles come from a height, length, and strength area, and like height and length and therefore strength kind of area. And I might be overblowing that, but I don't know how much better he's going to get. He might be fine for now. He might just be like an average center at the next level. I'm not sure. He's a very compactly built man. And I wonder if his arms are maybe a little bit small for the position or something, but I don't know how much he's going to grow. And let's get into some of these clips here. But from a pass block standpoint, I think he's got some solid anchor. He's going to neutralize his defender just fine. Here, handles the stunt really well, gathers defender, and punishes him for jumping. This is some more smooth stunt handling. Very smooth. Nice and controlled anchor. Good hop step. This is a big body man he's got to anchor against, and he does it really well. Just not even a problem. Good anchor. Controlled retreat. Good stuff. And here, good technique, but this is where he gets walked back, and you see a lot of that. Now, from the run game perspective, shoots hand to the defender and torques him out of the hole. Good stuff. Here, going to control the defender and mirror him really well. He's not going to get out of his grasp. Here, he's going to walk this defender away, but it's more about the fact he's just going to keep pestering, just going to keep going, not giving up on the play. Good technique, keeps the legs moving. Keeps pestering, and there's the finish. Here, gets in some good body position, keeps the legs moving. Good pull, movement skills, good block on the move. Nice pad level and leverage there. Keeps the legs moving. Good finish on this play. This is like the kind of stuff that's fun with him. Works to the second level where twists the defender out of the hole. Just going to stonewall this guy and drive legs. And here, gets walked back. Like, there's a lot of that where it's like he doesn't lose, but he doesn't really win. He doesn't really dominate a lot of times. Like, he's got a finisher's mentality, but maybe it's the start that I think is a lot of the problem. I think he can get overwhelmed right away. And it's this superior technique that helps him recover and win. So that's my worry, right? Is that it's all technique that helps him recover from an initial lack of strength or something maybe. But somewhere along the line, he has to recover, and it's the technique that gets him there. At the NFL level, I don't know that that's going to be enough. And he might lose more frequently there. I don't know. But I didn't watch his film and come away completely blown away like, yes, absolutely. Like the way I did with Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that there's significant enough gap between them. But Zack Fraser, certainly a solid center in this class. Moving right along through day 2 to Christian Mahogany from Boston College. 6'3", 330-pound left guard, right guard, lots of experience, and a very accomplished pass blocker, strong and steady, has really good mirroring ability, plays with some good pad level, has some strong hands, and a really, really good anchor. I think where some of his deficiencies come in the run game, he plays like a wrecking ball, and there's clearly some natural strength behind that giant body, but it seems like he likes to initiate contact with force, and that can lead to some issues. So sometimes he can lower his head first, leading to some balance things, or just being tricked by savvier defensive linemen. And I think he needs to learn how to consistently transition that big first initial contact into a lock and drive. A lot of times he just kind of wallops like he's going to knock somebody out in one shot. And when that doesn't work, he doesn't really have a follow-up plan. So some technical things to work out with him, but overall a very, very steady player that can contribute right away, I think, at either guard spot. And that brings us to our next guy who's a candidate to move inside, I think, and that's Dominic Puny from Kansas. I'm not sure if it's Pooney or Puny. Either way, it sounds funny to say. 6'5", 320 pounds from Kansas. Played tackle, looks better at guard. Saw him at the Senior Bowl, and at the Senior Bowl they moved guys all over the offensive line. He looked a lot better at offensive guard. Not that he's a bad tackle at Kansas or anything like that. It just, as a pass blocker, the lateral step is nice and quick in the short areas, but when it gets to the edge concerns and wider areas of space, like more real estate, he starts to look a little bit more slow and clunky and methodical, and a speed rusher is going to beat him around the edge every single time. That being said, if he had to play tackle for like 3 plays or something, or an equipment issue, it wouldn't be a complete disaster. He wasn't awful at tackle at Kansas or anything like that. I just think that his future in the NFL is inside, and you'd be a fool to try and train him at tackle, I think. This is like a high ceiling kind of pick, though. Strong base, good anchor, decent feet. He's got some active hands. They could be a little bit faster and stronger, but so could just about every college kid's. In the run game, really strong leg drive. He's got some natural strength in there. He's got some good body positioning. I think he works to the second level pretty well. I think if he can get his pad level down to improve his leverage and, improve the results when trying to wrestle defenders out of holes, I think you've got something really special there. Either way, I think the versatility, it helps. How quickly he picked up on the inside stuff shows that I think he's got a future there in the NFL. And that brings us along to another Senior Bowl player who looks like he's transitioning from tackle to guard, and that's Canadian-born Isaiah Adams from Illinois, 6'4", 316 pounds. I think he's a better fit at the inside for the NFL. He's only got a few issues to work on, and he was really, really impressive in Mobile. I almost made him a clip video for this, and I think I definitely will for the Senior Bowl video. I think he looks good in the pass game. He's got nice hands, fast, active, strong lock-on. I think he can improve hand fighting, but most college kids can. I think he's got a nice solid base underneath him too, sturdy, controlled lateral steps, a solid anchor. His pad level's a little high for me. Biggest thing, and this is both for the run game and the pass game, feet can stop sometimes. He's got a good block going in the pass game, and then he just kind of stops his feet. Can lead to some issues. He can get beat that way. In the run game, it's the same thing. He's got natural strength. He's got natural tenacity. Pad level, again, a little too high for me, but tendency to blow up rather than move guys. If you could just keep his feet moving, you have something special there. I think Isaiah Adams is going to do very well at the NFL level wherever he goes. I like what I've seen from Isaiah Adams. And this brings me to, I think, a high-profile player here, Zach Zinter from Michigan, 6'6", 322 pounds, right guard. Has a devastating injury that really, really impacted his draft stock. I think he would have been one of the more highly touted guards or interior offensive linemen in this class, and I think that the late season injury is that stinks for him, and I also think that there's plenty of good talent here, so that stinks as well. But I have some other concerns with him. Technically, I think he's extremely polished. He's a sound pass blocker. He's got a good base, decent pad level. He's athletic. He's got a controlled kick step. His anchor is pretty decent. He's got fast, active hands. Same thing in the run game. Good leg drive, pad level a little bit high, but not really a huge issue. He works to the second level well. He looks good in space. He gets good body positioning. Here's the thing. With both pass blocking and run blocking, maybe I'm overthinking this, but I'm questioning some strength here. And at 6'6" and 320 pounds, I don't know how much more strength you're going to add to a body like that. And again, I'm not a strength and conditioning anything, but usually when you need to add strength, it's usually a technique issue, which it's not for him, or it's you can see right from the length and weight what the issue is. I don't know what the issue is with him, so when you watch him, he can win with technique. I don't ever really see too many reps where he dominates or finishes. And that's usually what you see for the guys who do well at the next level. You never dominate or finish. I'm not really sure what is going to happen. And I'm not really sure what the issue is with him. But I do question the overall ceiling, how long he can survive at the NFL if he can't grow any more than what he already has. So that's why I have him here. I mean, there's no obvious flaws, so I'm not trying to, knock him down too far. But other guys I can see the ceiling. I'm afraid that it might be right in front of my face. Next, we have another Senior Bowl guy, Bo Limmer from Arkansas. This guy might move in my rankings throughout because we saw a pretty drastic improvement, I think, throughout the days of the Senior Bowl. 6'5", 300-pound center guard. More accomplished run blocker than pass blocker, I think, at this point. He's got, speaking of run blocking first, since that's what he's better at, good first contact, great pad level. He's a tenacious guy. Like, he's going to be scrappy. He's going to win with effort if he is not winning with technique and strength. So churns legs. He leverages pretty well. He's got some athleticism in the open field and at the second level. I think he just needs to play under more control. Better coaching. I guess better coaching, NFL coaching. And I think he needs to add some strength to him. I think he can add a couple 10, 15 pounds somewhere on his body. The passing game, he just needs to be a little bit more consistent. He does the right thing sometimes, just not all the time. I think that his head down is a problem, and that happens from time to time. So his base, which is normally good, can suffer from being head down and then leaning. And I think that sometimes his initial contact can come from a bad position, which will set him up for a struggle rep. And I think that he struggles just in general to recover from these things. He's not accomplished enough in the pass game to learn how to work himself out of a bad situation. But when his form is good, he does well. So I think that this is another guy who can rise up throughout the ranks with better coaching. I think that, how he does in team interviews and things like that, I think will help him. And I think he'll probably do better than I'm ranking him. But right now I have him as a day two guy on the later half. And I'm going to stick with that theme of centers who are better run blockers than pass blockers. And I was surprised by this one, but only, I think, because he's fairly highly regarded. But Cedric Van Pran from Georgia, 6'4", 310-pound center. I thought I was going to be higher on him than I am. Thumper in the run game. I think he connects with solid pop, and I think he can overwhelm with drive. The moment he snaps the ball, he's got a finisher's mentality. He's going to get his hands into somebody, and he's going to get them on the ground. That's his mindset in the run game, and I think that it shows up right away. His pad level could get a little bit better, but otherwise, run game, I don't have too many concerns. Disappointing as a pass blocker. I think that there are balance issues abound. His base can get really wide and out of control. The slow foot speed in short spaces, clunky and labored lateral step, these lead to balance issues. Trying to speed up and get to a spot when he's behind, it throws him all off. He's out of control. His hands are uncoordinated. That also leads to issues. But when he does lock on, like if he can get a head-on hit, he has a big body, a heavy natural anchor. He can lock in and he can stop guys in his tracks. So it's about cleaning things up. But there's a lot more to clean up than I thought. And he's been around for a while, so I'm hoping that just like an NFL coach can come in there and clean that stuff up. But, day two guy, I thought he would have been a little bit higher, maybe pushing towards day one, maybe higher up on day two. But my last day two guy on this list. Now working into day three, we're going to pick one of my favorite day three guys. I think that he is a moldable person. Tate Rage from Georgia, 6'6", 310-pound right guard. Big body, mean. And good technique. He's got some issues he's got to work on, obviously. I think he can add strength, 310 pounds at 6'6". I think he can add 10 to 15 pounds of muscle there somewhere. I think that the biggest thing is that he's slow out of his stance, and he's got to improve some hand usage stuff. But I think he's got a lot of stuff that you'd be happy to work with, and for a day 3 pick, you could probably develop. I don't know how high on day 3, but I'm thinking he's a round 4 guy. And I'm not really sure why I think that, because it gets a little muddy. Most interior offensive linemen are like a round 3 to round 5 kind of section, and those rounds just become kind of a mess. It becomes pretty difficult for me to figure out where on that board they lie, but I can generally figure out where they line up against people at the same position. So for Tate Rage, let's take a look at some of his plays here in the passing game. Good patience here. Sees a stunt, and he's going to bury this guy. Put him in the ground. Here, quick out of his stance. For once, understands this stunt. Handles it well. And again, this is more stunt handling. Good, smooth transition. Little out of control in this anchor, right? But he mirrors his defender pretty well. The run game, good pad level. And then just puts him in the ground. Buried. Chip, and then move to the second level. And we get to deal with this obnoxious clicker cam thing. And that's a touchdown, by the way. Good body positioning here to wall off. Another really big play. Here you're going to pull and just eliminate this defender. Not even a part of the play. Again, not fast out of his stance, but neutralizes defender. And here, at the goal line, you can see the good body positioning leg drive. It's just not enough strength for me. That's where I see the lack of strength is in stuff like that. There's no initial just drive to move guys. It's kind of like a build-up. I'd like to see that strength improve. And I think there's only just a few technical things he's got to work on. But I actually really liked Tate Rage out of Georgia. I didn't have any expectations going into it. So he's my top-rated day 3 guy, I think, going into this. Next, we're going to have back-to-back Kansas State players. And I was kind of surprised by which one came first here, and it's LeVeston. Very large-bodied, 6'5", 330-pound versatile lineman from Kansas State. Played guard before moving to left tackle. I don't think he has the lateral foot speed to play NFL tackle. His lateral step isn't bad. He's got some good mirror. I just think the reaction speed isn't quite there, and I think if you challenge him with inside moves and then speed to the outside, he's going to be lost for an entire 60 minutes. But he's got a good body for anchoring. I think that his pad level is sometimes an issue. I think that his balance in the open field is also an issue. But as a pass blocker, he is not horrible. Decent hands, solid anchor. In the run game, he has a drive mentality. So he's got the natural strength that comes from being 6'5", 330. I think he gets leverage. He could be a little bit lower, but he understands leverage, and he needs to move and work his athleticism under more control. Just a little bit wild with his feet in the open spaces. And I think a lot of that has to do with moving a large body. But I could see LeVeston moving to the inside where he's asked to move a lot less, and he can work on moving under control. And I think that's where you're going to see the strength come in, and I think he can be a functional guard at the next level. Moving ahead to the other guy from Kansas State, more highly touted, Cooper Beebe. I'm not sure if I'm sounding that right, but I'm not calling Beebe. So Cooper Beebe. 6'4", 335-pound, former left tackle into left guard. This is a tough evaluation for me. I think that most people are going to have him higher than this. But I don't know what to do with guys like Cooper Beebe because I just don't like him. I don't like this type of guard. I don't think that it transitions well to the NFL. And it's weird to say, but like he's not bad, but this type of like almost phone booth interior offensive lineman has such a limited spot in the NFL that I don't know where to place him. They just don't turn out to be successful, even though he's pretty good at what he does. The NFL is just not looking for guys like this. So it's hard to put a grade on him. It's hard to put a day on him. And personally, I don't like these kinds of guys because, I mean, it's not applicable to a lot of different current offensive schemes. But let's get into it. So he's a guard. For starters. The tackle stuff is out of the question. As a pass blocker, strong, but slow, clunky lower body. I think he stops his feet when he lands punches. He's got some balance issues. He's certainly got some pad level issues. I think that when he's able to gather himself, he has a really strong anchor, and he has strong punches and active hands. But in the run blocking, he's got technique improvements that he needs. He's got the obvious natural strength. He can overwhelm when he locks in and drives, but He way too often tries to just wham instead of drive. He just tries to throw his body into somebody and, wallop them into next Tuesday. It's not going to happen in the NFL. These guys are NFL players. The little guys that you can wallop are fast, and they're smart. They're going to avoid your block. And the big guys are just as big or bigger than you. It's not going to work like that. And I think that his pad level and his helmet placement also need work. So in addition to just being only accomplished in sort of this phone booth mentality, he still needs work there as well. So I have him rated pretty low. I'm sure a reasonable person could argue with me. I'm not going to die on the hill of Cooper Beebe is terrible. I'm not saying that. I don't know. These guys tend to struggle to transition to the next level recently. Moving ahead again to another guy from Michigan, Trevor Keegan, 6'6", 320-pound left guard. He's a neck roll guy. How could you not like a neck roll guy? I think that this is kind of like a ceiling pick. Lots of technical strength here. Obviously, coming from Michigan, he's technically sound, right? He's got great pad level for his height in the pass game. I think he's got a solid base, really fast, active hands. I was surprised by how accomplished his hands were. I think he's got good foot speed. I think he's got a pretty decent lateral step, especially for the inside. Anchor could need work. I think that his big problem is that he really just doesn't settle his feet. He doesn't transition from that like retreating position, and like he just doesn't gather his feet underneath him, sink his hips, and anchor. And he's got to work on that. But otherwise, I think as a pass blocker, he's pretty good, and I think that the accomplished hand fighting gives him a leg up to get started, maybe a little bit sooner in the NFL than other guys. In the run game, a little disappointing for me for a neck roll guy. I think he needs to get some more consistent leg drive. Again, with the lower body stuff, I think he needs to work on. He needs to woodshed that stuff. But I think he could also stand to add some lower body strength and some upper body strength. I don't think he's weak or anything like that. He doesn't overwhelm for a guy who's 6'6", 320. So somewhere in there, I'm hoping that he can still add some strength. It's not necessarily like a weight thing. I think it's more like a pad level and leverage thing in the run game. And more than anything, I think it's transitioning to that leg drive, like getting your lower body moving to assist your upper body. So he needs to work that leg drive into a more fluid movement transition from that initial contact, like some other guys out here. But in the open field, I think he moves well, and I think he positions himself well. So he does a lot of things right. He just doesn't finish. He's got a couple things that are preventing him from finishing. And I think that if you correct those, you can get yourself a nice, solid guard at the next level. I don't know that he's going to become a Pro Bowler or anything like that, but for a day 3 pick, you're hoping you can develop. I think this is a guy that you can hope will develop. Next, we have Drake Nugent. Formerly of Stanford, transferred to Michigan at the end of his college career. 6'2", 300 pounds, a true center. He does have some movement skills, but a true center. Not a bad player by any means, but I do think that there are size and strength concerns here that's going to put him at a disadvantage for the next level. 6'2" is pretty short for a lineman. I think you could probably get away with it at center, but I think that the size and strength issues show up on film at the college level, so I don't know about this one. But I think he's got pretty strong technique in the passing game. He's got a good base. He's got solid pad level. He's got a pretty good anchor, quick hands into the chest. But really, it looks like a lack of strength. And I don't know. When he gets hands on his chest, it looks like he has no ability to break them off of him at times. And if that's happening at college, I just don't know what's going to happen at the NFL level. It doesn't look like it's a technique thing. It looks like he just doesn't have the strength to do it. And I suppose that he could continue to work on that with an NFL diet and with an NFL weight room and strength and conditioning program and all that stuff. But it doesn't look super promising. Like, this looks like a backup center to me. I think that the strength issues carry over to the run game, too. It gets great pop into the chest with pad level and leverage and leg drive, but there's no strength to move. So, like, all the technical aspects of what should work, he does. He gets into the chest, he goes with good pad level, he leverages up, and he moves his feet, but nobody moves. We just stalemate. So, I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world, but it's certainly not something I'm drafting, with a premium pick. So, maybe he's a functional starter at the next level, but I seriously doubt that he's going to be, a top 5 center at any point in his career. So, I guess take that for what it's worth. And maybe there's something I'm not seeing, right? Like maybe there's a reason for the lack of strength that can be corrected fairly easily. I just didn't see it. And lastly, this was my least favorite guy, and I saw him at the Senior Bowl as well, and I felt kind of the same thing there. Javion Cohen from Miami. I believe he transferred from Alabama before that. 6'4", 305-pound left guard. This guy's a big body clunker. And I think that the biggest issue I have with him is that he's a large body guy and he's a leaner. So he's just kind of a mess to me. And he leans because he gets impatient in the pass game sometimes. So he'll punch early and come from a poor base. His feet and hands won't necessarily work in tandem, and he'll get himself out in front of his feet. Head in front of your feet, you're already leaning, you're in a bad position. I think that the poor foot speed leads to out-of-control lateral steps, trying to cut people off, trying to manufacture speed by sacrificing technique, and that leads to more leaning issues and just poor balance. I think he's better at working his hands than his feet, right? So when he gets a one-on-one head-up block, he does a lot better, and he's got the big body to help him out. But the strength all seems to come from body weight lean. And I think even when he gets one-on-one, he still has a tendency to lean. In the run game, another guy that's going to wall off and he's going to stalemate. He never drives. Like for a big body guy, you never see him overwhelm and take guys out of the hole. So, for me, down on the list, he's got a ton of college experience, so there's probably something there that you can develop as a backup, or maybe you can get him into a reserve spot or something like that. But I came away fairly unimpressed for a former Alabama moves to Miami guy. This is not a small school guy with a big body who didn't really get good coaching or anything like that. This is a guy who just didn't correct his issues. And just a final reminder that I don't have a Patreon page, but all of these clips came from Do a Barrel Roll on YouTube. So if you want to support me, support him because he does have a Patreon page, or give him a like or a follow on Twitter or YouTube. Until next time, guys, I'll see ya.